Welcome to the Dr. Todd Talks Tune Show. I am your host, Dr. Todd Samra, and we are very happy to be back here in 2021. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have a great little episode on the music of Enrique Granados, who is an excellent composer from Spain. A quick shout out to the students of Canterbury School. You guys got some excellent talent there, some excellent young minds, and thank you and welcome to the show. We want to welcome everyone. We had a little bit of a break towards the end of 2020 and into 2021, but very happy to be back making new episodes. So Granados, he's a composer who's really chiefly known for writing piano works. If you are a pianist, then you are probably all too familiar with his music. But if not, you maybe don't know a lot about this composer, which is part of the reason he was selected for an episode today. He started his career, of course, playing in dining establishments. Who hasn't done this? During that process, he really developed and managed his musical style. He was garnering a lot of attention during that time also as a composer. We really look at him as this fully romantic composer who writes music with a lot of sophisticated ornamentation and a lot of interesting rhythms. His influences include composers like Grieg and Schumann and Liszt, but another clear influence was his friend and colleague, Isaac Albanese. Granados composed a handful of works for the stage, including Goyescas, which was probably his most famous work, but also was successful in writing some chamber music and vocal music. He only wrote a few works for orchestra, so if you're an avid orchestra goer, orchestral concert music attendee, then you may not be terribly familiar with his music. The one we're going to look at today, Dante, of course, is a symphonic poem based on the infamous Divina Commedia, which was originally set in Italian. It's presented as a two-movement structure, which is a little bit interesting. Normally, symphonic poems are either set as a single movement work, like a tone poem, or a multi-movement structured work. But seeing a two-movement structure here is a little bit of an interesting choice. And I think it really kind of represents that duality between the divine and the undivine. So this two-movement structure, I think, is symbolic in its nature. It's also a very expressive work, a lot of very interesting colors, dramatic writing with the orchestra. And it features, of course, a mezzo-soprano, which is featured only in the second portion. And this portion is based on the tragic legend of Paolo and Francesca, which is a broken love story, a flawed couple, which really draws on the chromatic nature of Wagner and Tristan und Isolde, who we know that, Wagner, in writing Tristan und Isolde, broke tonality, kind of showing in the introduction that this relationship is flawed. So what Granados has done here is really quite similar. He's kind of using a lot of the chromatic nature of the harmonies and a lot of techniques used by Wagner to show that this portion of the music is quite flawed. It's a dark work. It opens with this depiction of essentially Dante journeying down into the Inferno, and so it has a lot of dark and pictorial images. The work tends to sound maybe more mainstream or German than a lot of other works by Spanish composers, but it still maintains a certain, I think, Spanish color, Spanish presence, a Spanish flavoring to it. It doesn't really sound like German music, but it definitely sounds more German than a lot of works by Spanish composers. We're going to take a quick little listen to a section of Dante. This, of course, is from the first part, this journey into the Inferno. And listen to the rich writing in the strings. There's some really beautiful energy and motion going on here in this little section. Rich, chromatic, dark. definitely dramatic, much in the same way that Wagner's music is dramatic, and that the music is subservient to the drama and the action going on stage. This is why his music is so foundational in the writing of movie scores. So in a way, this music is much more like a movie type score of this imaginary journey of Dante going down into the Inferno. It's really representative of this emerging style of his, which, as I just mentioned, which was as a departure from the more Spanish flavored vocal and piano music that he produced. He was criticized for this during his own life, which was quite short. He ended up dying on March 24th, 1916, at sea. He was in the English Channel, and he was trying to rescue his drowning wife while he himself then drowned. He was traveling aboard the SS Sussex, which was sunk by a German U-boat. He had been visiting the United States and was traveling back home and when this tragedy happened. So a life cut short. So when we examine his music in this perspective, if he had lived longer, he probably would have written works that were more dramatic, maybe more works for orchestra and more works for the stage. But that didn't happen because of his untimely death. So I think this work is somewhat unique in that it represents this emerging mature style, which was tragically cut short. We're very happy to be back on the Dr. Todd Talks Tune Show after a 2-month hiatus for the holidays. We have some exciting episodes coming up in the future. We have 2 more in our Feminine Divine series. We're going to be looking at the music of Sade Adu and Libby Larsen. Thank you for hanging with us during our change of season. We're very happy to be in 2021, and we hope that music gets to emerge back into our culture the way we remember yet this year. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you again in the coming weeks on Dr. Todd Talks Tunes.